Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're going to be testing out the new YSL Make Me Blush Bold Blurring Blushes. So these are currently available on Sephora Canada. They're also available on the YSL Canada website. I don't know when they're coming to other markets, but since I have my hands on them, I thought let's just try these out. These do retail for 61 Canadian dollars, which is why I only purchased two. I did see somewhere that they will be 45 US. So these are available in 8 different shades, and all of the shades look to be pretty wearable. I picked up shade 6, which is Rose Haze, and 37, which is Peachy Nude. I just figured if I'm going to spend a lot on a blush, then I want to get something that I know is a color I'm going to reach for. I did come very, very close to getting shade 44 because I think that looks absolutely stunning as well. And the coral shade also looks stunning, but I thought let's try them out, and if I want more, I can get them, but for now, let's just try the two. So the claims on these blushes are a full color impact and vivid couture flush that lasts all day. These are supposed to have an air thin texture and seamless finish for a brightly colored result. These have a buildable sheer to super bold formula. These also have ingredients from skincare actives such as rosehip seed oil and squalane. They are also made in Italy and have a 24-month shelf life. So let's take a look at the packaging on these. And the packaging is super, super beautiful. So it does kind of have that sort of plush packaging on the outside, much like the bronzer and their powder that they came out with this year. And this is what they look like on the inside. So you still get that sort of quilted pattern, much like the bronzer, and the YSL logo in there as well. So this is the shade Rose Haze. So this is supposed to be more of a rosy beige type of shade. And the other shade is Peachy Nude. So let's swatch these together. So picking them up, they do feel so buttery to the touch. And this is Rose Haze. That is a beautiful, beautiful shade. I will say these are also quite matte and they don't appear to have any sort of sheen to them. And then here is Peachy Nude. So Peachy Nude is definitely a little bit more bold and pigmented, but both are very, very beautiful. I love how they're both super silky to the touch. And I will say earlier on when I was swatching these out for photos, the swatches did not want to come off my hand. So I do feel like these are going to be some very long wearing blushes. So since I have two shades, we will apply one on each cheek. Let me zoom you in just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so on this cheek, let's go in with Peachy Nude. I just did 2 little taps in and I feel like it's coming off very, very pigmented. I'm just going to start a little bit more toward the back. I do have a little bit of bronzer on, but it's mostly just around my forehead and toward the back of my cheek. And I did use the YSL bronzer, so it is definitely much more fair and light. Okay, those 2 dips into Peachy Nude, that could have done both cheeks. That is very, very pigmented. Oh my goodness. I'm just going to flip my brush to see if I can sort of blend this out without adding any more. That was way more pigmented than I expected. I can definitely see what they're saying about the blurring effect because I got a ton of pigment there, but it is very, very soft and it definitely is sort of blurred in that area. There's definitely no sheen to it. There's no glitter to it whatsoever. And I feel like it almost melts right into my skin. Just the way it's sitting on my face, it doesn't look like it's a powder on my face, if that makes sense. That's really beautiful. I'm just going to grab my foundation brush and I'm just going to go around the perimeter just a little bit. Yeah, that's really pretty. Still a lot of pigment, but still really, really pretty. So if you're fair like me, I would definitely be careful with how hard you go into this one, especially because I just did 2 quick dips and we all saw what happened there. So we definitely have a lot of pigment. Let's go into Rose Haze. This one looks like it's going to be quite a bit lighter, but I want to do the same thing. I'm going to do 2 dips. I guess that was actually more like 3. And let's go in on the other side. See what happens. Okay, this one's still pretty pigmented. Okay, this one is still pretty pigmented. I would definitely say less intense than Peachy Nude. I don't feel like I'm going to have to go in and sort of correct this one at all, but I still got quite a bit of pigment out of that, and I really didn't go in too heavy. This shade is really, really beautiful. This is a nice match for me. And once again, I'm definitely seeing that very soft, almost blurring quality to it. My skin just looks very, very smooth. I feel like it's just sort of melted in. It doesn't look like a powder sitting on my skin, and just so quick and easy to blend. This side definitely took me longer because I got too much, but at the same time it was very easy to apply and blend, and it blended out very, very seamlessly. There was absolutely no patchiness with either shade. I think these are both beautiful. I mean, one is definitely peachier, one is definitely more of that rosy beige, but honestly, I feel like looking head on into the camera, I can't necessarily tell that I have two different blushes on. I do think they both look very, very pretty. I can see myself reaching for Rose Haze daily. It's just a really beautiful rosy blush, but it has that beige undertone, so it's going to go with everything. You're not going to have to really adjust what blush you reach for based on your eye look, which is my favorite. So one thing I thought of right away when it came to Rose Haze, when I first swatched it out, I was very much reminded of my most used blush from this past year, which is the Patrick Ta Not Too Much, because I've always said Not Too Much is one of my favorite shades because I feel like it has very much that sort of rosy undertone. It has a natural look to it, but it has that beigey undertone as well. So it just looks so easy and flattering on my skin. And I feel like the shade name is just so incredibly appropriate. It's never too much no matter what you do. And it's actually reminding me a lot of Rose Haze. I do have a lot of peachy blushes, so I'm not going to swatch every peach blush I have, but I do want to swatch Rose Haze beside Not Too Much because I want to see if there's much of a difference there. Swatching Rose Haze, and then right underneath, Not Too Much. Okay, so I feel like Not Too Much actually ends up being a little bit peachier than Rose Haze, and it definitely also has more of a sheen to it. But I do much prefer the powder formula from the YSL. They're just a little bit more buttery and soft, and I definitely appreciate the sort of blurring effect that they give to the cheeks. So with the Patrick Ta blush, I actually just uploaded my year-end blush ranking, and this came in at number 1 because of how often I reached for this shade. I love this blush shade so much, and I did say that I do tend to reach for the powders. I don't use the cream nearly as much. The cream will give me a much more intense payoff, but I tend to just go into this blush because I think it's a perfect everyday shade. But I also mentioned that I have some formulas in my collection where I actually prefer their powder formula over this, but this shade had me going back to it constantly. I can tell you right now, I do like the YSL powder formula better than the Patrick Ta. I just feel like there is a certain dryness to this. It still looks beautiful and performs beautifully, and it's still my favorite blush shade. I mean, compared to this though, I would say they're on par. To be honest with you, I would absolutely reach for this every day. But I do like this formula better because it is softer, it's more buttery, and then on the cheeks, I like that this doesn't have a sheen at all, and it just really does have that blurring quality that they claim to have. So I really, really like that, and I won't know for sure until I've been wearing these for a while. I obviously have to test out wear time and all of that, but I can tell you right now that I do prefer this powder formula over the Patrick Ta. If somehow these only have like a 6-hour wear time, then they're not going to beat out the Patrick Ta, but shade-wise, Rose Haze is relatively close. And it's kind of a better value for me because I don't necessarily use the cream in the Patrick Ta. I should also mention in the Patrick Ta, you get 4 grams of the powder, and the YSL blushes actually have 6 grams. So you do get more product, and because I don't use the cream that much, this is probably going to be a better value for me personally. So I really, really like this powder blush formula so far. I can't wait to keep playing with these. I was just so excited for these because I feel like we've been seeing the leaked photos for months with just no indication of when they're coming out, and now they are available in Canada. I don't know when they're going to be available elsewhere, but I will try to let you know if I stumble on that information. But I will say, So far, these definitely have my stamp of approval. I really, really like them. I did expect to like them. I have definitely been really, really loving YSL this year in particular, but I really enjoy their bronzer formula. The blushes are definitely more pigmented than the bronzer. For sure, there's no doubt. And I think I might actually like this blush formula better than I like that bronzer formula. I love their bronzer. It's wonderful, but I do prefer the Lancome. But these blushes are so good. The packaging is unmatched. It's absolutely beautiful. The formula, the effect on the cheeks, there's no denying that they are very pigmented, which is kind of nice. You do get a solid 6 grams of product. They're made in Italy, and they're just really beautiful. And this one, even though I got way too much initially, it was still easy to fix when I went in with my foundation brush, and I actually feel like it has melted into my skin a little bit as well as it's been sitting. So I can still see it, but it definitely doesn't look quite so intense. And then Rose Haze is just my perfect everyday shade. So I really love both of these. I am really, really excited that I got my hands on these. I'm so excited for them. I can definitely see myself ordering more shades during a sale. I definitely would consider that because I think these are absolutely stunning. And I will definitely have to report back to you on whether these blushes, particularly Rose Haze, overtakes my favorite Not Too Much from Patrick Ta. So I will have to let you know on that. But that is it for me today. Let me know if there is anything I didn't quite cover. Let me know if you have any questions. I would be happy to answer them for you in the comments. Thank you all so much. I love you guys so much. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload new videos every single week. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!